On the 14th of June 1940, German war machines stormed into France. The French chose not to put up a fight, fearing that those pill-popping Germans would not waste any time in destroying the beauty of their homeland. 8 days later, France signed an armistice with the Germans, and a puppet French state was set up with its capital at Vichy. It was during this German occupation of France that David Croft and Jeremy Lloyd chose to base a comedy titled Allo Allo. Welcome to Film Critic. My name is Critic, and as you may have guessed, I will be your resident film critic. This week, and for our debut episode, I'll be critiquing a sitcom that I first watched in the late 90s on Zambia's national broadcaster, ZNBC. One interesting aspect of growing up in Zambia was the television programming we watched. Because she hadn't yet discovered her own aesthetic, a young Zambia fed on a wide range of international content, most of it being British and Philippine. As a kid, I loved Allo Allo for its more obvious elements, like the characters' exaggerated accents and its slapstick moments. Recently though, I rewatched Allo Allo and noticed different elements of the show that quickly made it one of my favorite shows from my childhood. But before we dive into all that, let's meet the characters that carried out what I can only call a feat of television. Unlike shows like The Big Bang Theory, which rely on a small group of easily recognizable characters to execute their storyline, Allo Allo throws a long list of rotating characters whose names you may not still remember after 8 seasons. And though this may seem like a flaw of the show, its writers managed to turn it into a strength. It's the very fact that any character from this long list can show up at any moment and still execute a truly hilarious moment that seems to work for Allo Allo.
Don't move. What? My name is Michel Dubois. Time is very short. Listen very carefully. I shall say this only once.
I beg your pardon?
Most of the characters on the show can be broken down into 4 categories. First up, the French. René Artois, no relation to Stella, lives above his cafe with his wife Edith and their mother Madame Fanny Lafan. Along with them live 3 young ladies, Maria, Vivette, and Mimi. Other French characters include Michel Dubois of the Resistance, Monsieur Alphonse, an undertaker, and Monsieur Leclerc, who is whatever the opposite of Master of Disguise is.
It is I, Leclerc.
Our second group of characters is the Germans. Major General Erich von Klinkelhoffen, Colonel Kurt von Strom, Lieutenant Herbert Gruber, Captain Hans Gehring, Herr Flick, Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen, and Private Helga Gerhardt are all German characters on Allo Allo. Private Helga Gerhardt in particular served as the German eye candy and was responsible for many of my childhood fantasies. Anyway, the one Italian character on the show is Captain Alberto Bertorelli, and what else can I say but he is, well, Italian.
Mamma mia! The beautiful lady! I kiss your hand.
Captain.
And finally, our 3 British characters are Officer Crabtree, Flight Lieutenant Fairfax, and Flight Lieutenant Carstairs. Okay. Throughout the program's broadcast, Allo Allo features a number of overarching storylines, with 2 of these being the most prominent within episodes. The first and most prominent plot concerns the theft of a valuable painting from the town's chateau stolen by von Strom, and the subsequent effort by him to conceal the theft from his superiors and Herr Flick.
This is the Fallen Madonna by Van Klomp. It will fetch a fortune after the war.
Is it wise to have it in your office?
René is forced to handle the stolen painting out of threat of execution, but also due to being indebted to von Strom for allowing him to fake his death when he is sentenced to execution for aiding the resistance in an act of sabotage. The painting itself is subjected to being lost during the course of its concealment before receiving a forged copy upon being found, only for it to be lost again and sought out by not only von Strom but also Herr Flick, who rather than return it to Berlin intends to keep it for himself. The second storyline concerns the involvement of two stranded British airmen shot down while over Nouvon. Because of their predicament, several plots in a number of episodes focus on the efforts of Michel of the Resistance to devise plans that can help to send them back to England, with Rene not only forced to help hide them within his cafe, but also sometimes help in their schemes. Often, these schemes devised are so complicated that they invariably backfire, especially when they collide with other schemes conducted by von Stromm and his assistants, not only leaving him, Rene and Michel worse off than before. Most other storylines concern other events, including the efforts to remove von Klinkerhoffen's replacement from power, sabotaging the Germans' plan to invade England, and the subsequent buildup of Germans' concern about an Allied invasion of France following the defeat of Italy. But why do I love this show? Why Allo Allo and not Saved by the Bell, Mind Your Language, or Blackadder? Well, for starters, I've never watched any of those shows, but also because Allo Allo, like I said earlier, had some really amazing subtext that has held up over the years.
In Rome is a wonderful life for a soldier. I walk down the street, from every window flowers they fall at my feet. At every doorway, they drag me inside for the hugs and the kisses and the hanky-panky.
The first thing I really loved about the show was its use of familiar Lloyd and Croft elements. As with previous sitcoms created before Allo Allo, such as Are You Being Served?, much of the humor is derived from classic elements of comedy. Like most characters devised for previous sitcoms, the cast of the program were designed with notable elements to distinguish them throughout the series, be it a catchphrase, gimmick, or saying. Also, Allo Allo ends each episode with the caption, "You have been watching in order of appearance," followed by a short vignette shot of actors who performed in the episode. The second reason I love Allo Allo is its use of language. One of the trickier problems the show had was the fact that the main characters were of 4 different nationalities. Lloyd and Croft understood that it would be too much for the audience to follow multiple languages, so they employed a simple dramatic device to overcome the issue. All characters would speak English in a theatrical foreign accent depicting the foreign language. French and German characters could understand each other when speaking, but the English characters could not understand the others without someone translating for them, and vice versa.
Where am I going to hide then?
What are they talking about?
I don't know. Perhaps they're thinking of some way to get your watch. I don't know about you, but I'm damn peckish. Me hungry. Hungry! No, no!
What's wrong with him?
Because of this device, each particular main language for the show required a specific accent and speaking style to be devised. While the French-speaking characters mainly spoke with a French accent, the English-speaking characters mostly employed an upper-class English accent, and German-speaking characters mainly spoke in a guttural manner. When Italian characters were added to the series, particularly Captain Alberto Bertorelli, the cast member assigned to this role spoke in a nasal tone, making use of the letter A on the ends of certain words. One of the most notable and wittiest aspects of the language device was the speech of the police officer Crabtree.
And talking of pushing my luck,
Oh, it's that English idiot who thinks he can speak our language.
Good day to you.
you see, he has heard about the duel.
Are we alone? I wish to tick to you.
Tick.
A character introduced in the second series. Because the actor was an Englishman with a poor grasp of French, the actor Arthur Bostrom spoke perfectly when the character spoke in English, but extensively deployed malapropism to represent when the character was speaking in French. Bostrom altered not all but certain words in his sentences, substituting different vowels and or consonants, changing them into different or nonsensical words, usually laden with innuendo. An example is the line, "I was passing by the door and I thought I would drop in," which Bostrom pronounced, "I was pissing by the door and I thought I would drip in." Another example is Crabtree's greeting of "good morning," pronounced "good morning." Thirdly, I love Allo Allo for its depiction of Rene's promiscuity with various characters in the show. Because he is so approachable and quote-unquote handsome, Rene often finds himself as the obsession of many of the show's female characters. During the course of the show, Rene juggles multiple relationships, almost seemingly by sheer luck. As a comedy, Allo Allo holds its own amongst the greatest of them all. As a window into the mind of a British comedian, it does a little bit more. It offers you a uniquely British critique of European culture. The writers even critique themselves through the depiction of the British characters on the show. Crabtree is clearly an idiot, and the British airmen are almost lovable for their war-torn but still cheerful characteristics. All in all, Allo Allo makes for very entertaining viewing and also manages to make light of a dark moment in human history. As a comedy, it tickles you to bits. Whether you're a 12-year-old just figuring out how hot Helga is, or you're a 30-year-old who knows the dark undertones that the show's writers had to sidestep. As a fan of both comedy and documentaries on the First and Second World War, I find Allo Allo very unique for being able to somehow find the intersection between the two. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Film Critic. My name is Critic and I love film. Be sure to leave me a subscription, share the episode, or tell me what show you would like me to critique next in the comment section. Until next time, peace and love.